The 10th of October was a very painful day for us in South Africa because the ad hoc committee MPs dragged our #1 ranking police officer over coals for 9 hours straight. In this video, I'm going to show you that. If you stay with me until my biblical reaction, I think you'll get some perspective on this matter. Because the mission is South Africa will prosper. Are you ready? Good. Press like. Whew. Let's go. But let me take you back to what he said at the Madlanga Commission and what we said in this video up here. Listen.
The minister did not have the mandate that would permit him to make such a directive.
But Masemola lacked a backbone, and he was thoroughly grilled by Madlanga on this.
In this case of the political killings task team, it is a task team that is working at a lower level under a provincial commissioner. If ever you found anything wrong with the task team, you could say that task team, I think you need to disband it, and we can engage in the terms of the why and how and so on. But to go further to say disband, but then after saying disband, then you go further to say now, not even tomorrow. I think that is totally encroachment into the mandate of the National Commissioner in terms of performance of my duty. I don't know whether I answered.
From that response, if you were to find yourself in such a situation, would you disobey the minister? If the minister were to give you an instruction that strays onto operational or managerial matters, would you, General Masemola, say to the minister, I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, it depends, Commissioner, but yes, I will. It's a matter that is career limiting, but
it depends on what?
It depends on how he does it.
It's simple. It's yes. Simple. You have said operational and managerial matters are within your remit and not the minister's.
Yes.
So I am saying categorically to you, the instruction would be falling outside of the minister's remit and be straying onto operational and managerial matters. It's that clear.
Yeah, no.
Would you, General Masemola, tell the minister, I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, no, I will tell him that I won't do it. But as I said, it depends. So he must explain why he's doing certain things.
So if he explains himself, would you then obey? Yeah, I want to understand that depends. So if the minister explained him or herself satisfactorily to you, would you then say, Minister, even though you are encroaching onto my area of function, I will obey you. You are acting unlawfully, but because you have explained satisfactorily to me, I'm going to obey you. Would you say that?
Well, if he explains and I find the reasons acceptable, then I will. But if I find them not acceptable, then I will not comply with that instruction.
Explain yourself. Why would you obey an instruction on something that the minister has no legal, no constitutional basis to do? Why would you obey that? Just explain that. I want to understand you.
What I'm referring to, well, my understanding and his understanding probably will differ. But if he says, this is what I'm giving this instruction, you must do it. And there is an explanation why should one do the instruction. We will engage on such a matter, whether as to where is his powers, does it end up?
General, I am sorry to belabor this, but I just want to understand your thinking. It is not policy. It is not directions. So if it is none of those, why would you ever obey the instruction? Where would the legal entitlement for the minister to give the instruction come from?
No,
and on what legal basis would you obey it?
Yes, Commissioner. Now, if it's very clear that his clear cut is not his, then I will not obey it. I will not do it.
I said so right at the beginning.
Yes,
I said
I will not do it.
If the instruction strays onto your area of function, would you obey it?
Oh,
and
no.
you said it depends. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Oh, no. I will not do it. That one, straightforward, not.
Thank you, Mr. Mchunu.
No, thank you, Chair. I could pick up that there was perhaps something that was lost in the discussion, or perhaps the questions that the Chair posed.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
Maybe the General forgot because I introduced my question quite carefully, referring to the straying and so on. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Don't let that smile fool you. It's right there on the face. But when that retired Deputy Chief Justice goes on to paper, his fingers don't smile when he types that report. Yep, he did burn himself, but that was a commission with a smiling judge. How do you think our parliamentarians dealt with this question? It was brutal right from the beginning.
Anyone holding position of National Commissioner should be beyond reproach. Do you agree, sir?
I do agree, Honorable Chair.
Are you beyond reproach?
That's correct, Honorable Chair.
Do you believe that the position you hold is probably one of the most powerful in South Africa?
Well, that's correct.
Is that correct? You are a very powerful man. Is that correct?
Not a very powerful man. No.
Sir, General
The
Mokonazi,
position of authority, Honorable.
General Mokonazi, I don't want us to water this down. We must know if you are fit to do this job. General Mokonazi in his statement said that you are probably one of the most powerful people in South Africa, and South Africans' lives are dependent and safety is dependent on you. So we can't have words such as probably or maybe or whatever. We need to know if you are fit for this position. So yes or no, sir?
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you, General.
Job. Thanks.
Yes or no? Do you believe that undue political interference by the minister should be tolerated?
Just repeat the question, Honorable.
Do you believe that undue wrongdoings by the minister should be tolerated?
No, Honorable Chair, it shouldn't be tolerated.
Do you believe that pushback towards an instruction from a minister could cost you your job?
Yeah, I believe it should cost me my job, but I don't mind if I have to lose my job.
Then why did you not tell the minister directly that his instruction is unlawful?
Quite a number of times, I told the minister, why are you closing the team? He just gave no reasons.
But it was an unlawful act
Well,
because it was operational. He was getting involved in operational matters.
Well, according to me, yes, but of course, I think it is up to the committee at the end of the day to decide whether is it really unlawful or is not. But for me, that's how I interpreted it, to say I think he's going beyond his scope, and hence I told him that I did emphasize that what are the reasons for this closing of the team? He might. The directive was not a request, it was a direct instruction. And I said, well, maybe he can give that, maybe he might not have that power, but what were the reasons? Why are you doing this? And unfortunately, I couldn't get answers.
Insi, earlier on you said that you are beyond reproach. Your response does not reflect that, because you are now speaking about, in your statement, winding down. That is not a beyond reproach. That is not reflective of being beyond reproach. Do you believe the political Killings Task Team was adding value?
Well, that I believe and I know that it was adding value.
So why are you winding it down? Is that not ultimately giving in to the minister?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that the minister was determined. Well, he issued a directive to close the team. And in the absence of me not knowing what are the reasons, I kept on saying, but why are you doing this? And I then came with the plan that, well, if he's doing it, let me then rather come up with a alternative to say, you rather wind it down, not close it the way you do.
NC, that is giving in to the minister. That is allowing political interference in operational matters. Do you agree?
Well, my belief is yes, but I'm not sure what is his view and the view of everyone.
We are not interested in the minister's view right now. We are interested in who you are. The minister made a wrong decision. You should have stood up to it. You didn't. And that is a problem for South Africa.
But one thing, Honorable Chair, is that the team was never closed. It is still operational even up to this day. I did everything that I could, and there was no door where I didn't went to. I engaged him several times, and he shut the door. You'd recall on the 16th of January, I met the minister on other matters. We discussed those, and in the process, I raised this matter again, and he shut the door to say, no, there is a due date for submitting the report. Submit the report, then can talk. After submission of the report, there was no talk until we were in Cape Town on the 6th of March. We discussed again there, again at that meeting, right at the beginning of the meeting. I said, Minister, tell these officers, why are you shutting down the team? Because I don't see the reason why you should do it. And there were no real cogent reasons that came about. But one thing, I came up with that alternative that rather than let me just wind down because this directive looked very suspicious. So rather let me come up with the strategy of winding down. Maybe one will end up finding the reasons for the closure of this team or the disbandment of the team. And eventually at the end of the day, we end up finding out the reasons. And also, I do take what the Honorable Minister is saying, but however, the instruction was not given in secret. It was out, yes, and for some reason it was leaked to the media on the 31st of December 2024, and everyone who's sitting here, members of the public, honorable members, also saw the instruction, I'm sure, and those that really had interest in the political killings, I believe they should have also saw that something is wrong. And I'm definitely sure, Honorable Chair, that if, just giving a scenario, if this instruction was about the disbandment of a task team that was investigating farm matters, I can guarantee you, before the 3rd of January, all association and organization around agriculture, they should have rise up to this matter because they would have seen it in public. They should have done something. But this very one, everyone, all analysts that are the best of today analyzing, including members of this house, it was quite okay. I did the best I could alone, and I tried my best. But if I have to be blamed today, well, I accept, but I did my best. And as we speak today, the political killings task team is still existing, is still working. Never mind, yes, I might have done it differently. Anyone will have an opinion how best you could have handled it. But I handled it my way, and I eventually was able to pick up what were the reasons why is the minister doing this, and the team is still there, is functioning.
The ANC minister wanted to put a stop to investigations pertaining to a drug cartel that has captured our country. Is that correct?
No, Honorable Chair, it's not the minister of the ANC, it's the Minister of Police in the Republic of South Africa.
Deployed by the ANC.
Well, that, yes.
We need to identify where these people come from. We need to identify where it comes from, where the rot comes from. We can't be pussyfooting. Our children are dying. Yesterday, a 4-year-old child died in Mitchell's Plain. Monday, a boy was kicking his grandmother's head around because of drugs. Tuesday, a boy was chopping his mother with a shovel because of drugs. We need to understand who are the enablers that's doing this. We're not here to play games. These people are ANC aligned. It's been going on for 2 years. You and I know each other for over 10 years. We're here to rot them out, and we must name them. So don't come here, ANC. I have great respect for you and speak about winding down and say that you are beyond reproach. You did not protect South Africans. You exposed us to drug cartels. The minister told you, closed his door to you. We should be closing the door to the minister.
Honorable member, let's not debate the issue. Let's interact with the police commissioner.
Apologies, Chair. I think right now authorities has been compromised. Authorities, they are the criminals based on where we're sitting. So we cannot go to authorities. So how do we protect whistleblowers? If the minister himself, the head, is stopping drug cartels, and today you are saying that whistleblowers must go to SAPS, does that make sense, General?
We should at least take pride that which they intended that it happened, it didn't happen. We were able to stop it, and we were investigating, and we arrested people. They are the people in court, and we even discovered more. The current Ket Matlala, we discovered 18 more cases that were there lying all over. They are brought now, they are being investigated, and you'll be facing all those cases. So we have done something, and we are still doing something with a view to deal with the matter.
And this is the team, the counterintelligence operation that the minister wanted to close down. Yeah. I want to ask you in closing, do you believe the minister must be arrested?
No, I can't express an opinion on that. There is a case that is being investigated. I think you heard from General Mchunu when he was here, that Honorable Chair, that there is a case that is being investigated, and one cannot comment on cases that are still under investigation.
Sure, that was rough and painful to listen to. And the MK jumped on the same bandwagon.
You were recently instructed by the currently suspended minister to disband the PKTT team. So I'm asking, with how much of a problem is illegal and unlawful instruction from political office bearers? How much of a problem is it in your space?
I wouldn't say it's a big problem, because some of the instructions or views, the ministers will ask about whether can we do something like this, and we'll advise him that no, we don't do it this way, we do it this way. So that's how it goes. Yeah, even with the previous ministers, there was no insistence. I think this is a typical one that one I've seen. Some in the past, yes, one might say something and he will be advised to say, no, we don't do it this way, we do it this way, and there were never problems.
While I appreciate the delay tactics you played in delaying Minister Mchunu from disbanding the PKTT, but I want to know, was this instruction illegal from Minister Mchunu? And if it was legal, at what stage did you know it's an illegal instruction from him? And did you inform him that this is an illegal instruction?
My view, yes, I view it as an encroachment. It's an area that was never explored before in this regard. I don't think there was ever a national commissioner that ever got an instruction of this nature in writing. So, as I said, Honorable Chair, I viewed it with suspicion, especially the way it came about. Hence, I didn't want to implement it immediately. But eventually, we end up finding that, no, indeed, after we find out what was the motive behind, that's when we can concretely say, no, but this was illegal. At the beginning, as I said, today we're sitting here knowing what we know now. Yes, one can 100% say this was an illegal instruction. But that time, without the background as to why are they doing this, they knew what they were doing. We didn't know. Only after 13 May did we then know that actually the arrangements to disband the task team started immediately after the search of Mr. Matlala's premises and the arrest of Mr. Molefe. The plans to start the process of disbanding started from there moving forward. That's what the chart shows, and that's what my other officers that have got these reports on their toes, they will come and tell you. Then it became very clear that this was illegal. Right from the beginning, yes, I viewed it as illegal encroachment, but not so sure, and also not sure why is he doing this. Hence, I asked him, but why you do this? And the man could not give me reasons.
Okay. Have you reported such a matter to the president?
I reported everywhere. I reported to the president. General Mchunu reported to Police Portfolio Committee. I kept on asking the minister every time. The 6th, I asked him, why are you doing this? I mean, the 16th of January, I asked him, why are you doing this? Shouldn't you have given us time that we brief you? What is PKTT? What are they doing before you disband it? And there was no room to accommodate that. 6 March, 27 March, still same. So where else should one go? There is no other door. Which door to go? I can't take him to court. I can't take him to United Nations. As I said to the previous member of parliament, that everybody in South Africa, all the analysts that are here today, members of this August House, we were all there. And luckily, this specific instruction was out in the media. In as much as it was directed to me, yes, but everybody had the opportunity to have seen it, luckily. And none of anybody have ever saw something wrong with it. That's why I said, I'm just making a hypothetical example that should it have been this instruction issued, the task team was investigating political, farm matters. Do you think the situation would have been the same? I'm sure surely me and you know they wouldn't have. Those quotas of the society, they should have risen up. But this one, different. So we end up now, yes, fighting this, trying our best. So one tried his best under circumstances.
I didn't get the clear answer of, after you have reported, where else you've said you have reported, did you report to the president? Did you speak to the president about this illegal instruction?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Yes, on the 1st of February 2025, I did meet the president on the matter. I reported to him that I received this instruction, and I will remind him about the team, and he knows the team because the team did brief him 17 March in Durban. So that this team has been disbanded, and I don't know why, and it's been disbanded urgently, and he was taken aback also why it is this happening. And that's why I said, well, it's not, I don't want to cause conflict between the two of them, but I said, this is not a request or a view, it's an instruction that I must do it. And I did try to knock for, if there is, can we engage on further on this matter? And the minister said no. Of course, I should submit the report, which I submitted, that report that he required. So, and he said he'll discuss with the minister. But of course, I said to him, my proposal, if this thing goes ahead, which I don't know why it must happen, it should take the form of slowly winding it down so that work cannot be disrupted. And the president says, yeah, well, I think if it happens, that's what he will support.
So at the time you were speaking to the president, at that time, were you then knowing what this is an illegal instruction, or you are just still not sure whether it's illegal or it's still encroachment?
Well, just not really sure, but believing that this looks like encroachment or illegal, but not one can't say, yeah, 100% it was illegal.
So the only answer I got from the president is no, ngizokhuluma naye.
So the president just said, no, I'll speak to him, and it was left there. I'll speak to the guy who's giving an instruction that is unlawful. Well, I think it's MP Ngola of the ANC. Well, he didn't let him off the hook either.
Is there political interference in the police service, according to what you have experienced as the National Commissioner?
Yeah, well, my my experience will be that in as far as this specific directive of the 31st of December 2024 is concerned, yes, there was interference where the minister then gave that directive without, well, he might have applied his mind, I don't know, but when you apply your mind, you apply your mind based on facts. So I take that as interference because he didn't have facts that have led him to decide. What I heard yesterday from the senior counsel to say he would receive complaints about PKTT, receive reports from House and all those others. Those are not reasons that can make you disband a team. That I would say yes, sounded is an interference.
Part of the provisions contained in the letter is the fact that political killings task team must be disbanded immediately. And General Mkhwanazi makes exception of the immediate part. The problem with the letter is the immediate part of the dissolution of the PKTT.
But the problem is not the immediate. The letter itself is the problem. Yes, the whole letter is a problem, not the immediate. But what I chose was not to do it immediate, but do it my way. This letter was a directive and not a request. And at that time, I had my doubts as to circumstances surrounding this letter, why it came. At that time, I was not in a privileged position. The honorable members now, you have both sides. You have the before and after. Myself, when those things were happening, I only had the before. I didn't really know what is this. I suspected that this irregular, illegal, but not really having facts.
Now, Glynis Breitenbach was here on day 2 because on day 1 she was at the Judicial Services Commission. And man, oh man, oh man.
You're the top cop in South Africa. You're the only real general in the South African Police Service. And you say that you hold the view that the instruction of the minister to close the political killings task team was ultra vires and encroached on your domain as the National Commissioner. So why did you not tell him so? Tell him that you won't close it down, that it's doing good work and that he's out of line. Why didn't you just do that?
Even though I tell him that this team is doing good work, we're not supposed to close it, he said, we must close it.
No, General, I'm sorry, you're missing the gist of the question.
Oh, sorry.
The question is, not that you didn't discuss it with him, I'm sure you did. Why didn't you tell him you're not interested? He's encroaching on your terrain, he's out of line, he can't do what he's doing, and he must concern himself with his own business and you concern yourself with yours.
Like I said, I did my best to tell him, let's not close, and he insisted.
General, my difficulty is that he can't insist. So, I mean, let's just cut to the chase. He can't insist, he can't tell you what to do. You're the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one above you and he's not above you.
He's a Minister of Police, he's above me.
Not in the hierarchy of the South African Police Service, General, and you and I both know that. Mm. You call the shots in the South African Police Service, not the minister. And if he tries, you should tell him to go to hell. Why didn't you?
Yeah, well, I didn't tell them that. And I take him as Minister of Police. And I told him in a nice way that let's not do this thing. And he kept insisting, no, we do it.
So when you told him in a nice way and he didn't go away, why didn't you tell him in a less nice way?
Yeah.
That's not an answer. General, you're the National Commissioner. You're the head honcho. You're the boss, not him. Why didn't you tell him that? Tell him to mind your own business and go do your own job.
Yes, I'm the National Commissioner, but I'm subject to his direction.
You consider him to be your boss?
Yes, I consider him, yes, to be
your boss.
Supervised, yes.
The National Commissioner of the South African Police Service thinks the minister is his boss. Wow. You discussed with him, he gave you no answers, real answers about why it should close down. Nothing was satisfactory. And then you said something odd. You said if it had been something about farm murders, the citizens of South Africa and parliamentarians would have reacted to the closing down. But because it wasn't, no one reacted. Now, why do you want citizens of South Africa and parliamentarians to do your job? It's your job to deal with that issue, not anybody else's. Did you come to Parliament and say, the minister is encroaching on your domain, he's exercising unacceptable political interference in the police service? Did you do that? And if not, why didn't you do it?
We did appear at the committee. We briefed them how good the political killings task team is doing its work. There was any member of the team that would say, no, we think this the minister shouldn't do.
Again, General, I have difficulty with, you're a really nice guy. I mean, there's no question about that. But you're nice. You're way too nice. You're the head of the South African police. Nobody can tell you what to do. You've got a lot of power. You don't seem to want to exercise it. And I don't understand that. Why didn't you come to the Portfolio Committee and say, this minister, tell them to call him to the Portfolio Committee and then sit there with him and say, this minister is interfering in the South African Police Service. He's telling me what to do. Why didn't you do that? How else would they have known?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. We learn. So in future, if I'm still there, that's what I will do. What do you say?
So, General, again, you're a very nice guy. Your subordinates seem to act with scant regard for you and your rank. They seem to disrespect you. Do you agree?
Well, they do respect me and we respect each other, Honorable Chair.
I said they disrespect you.
Yes,
they do as they please.
Honorable Chair.
They do as they please, clearly. And why do you put up with it? If you didn't want to close the political killings task team, why didn't you reprimand Sibiya and tell him to concern himself with his own business and not act counter to your orders? How do you exercise authority over the people that report to you?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Yes, I was exercising authority, but as I said, there was also this lake that the Minister and General Sibiya were also pushing.
So who's the head of the South African Police Service?
Myself, Honorable Chair.
And so Sibiya doesn't listen to you, and your reaction is to say, just leave it, I'll do it myself. That's not exercising authority. Why don't you tell him to do the job you told him to do? He answers to you.
Well, that time, Honorable Chair, remember, I didn't know what was the objective of all this. I thought he can't really do what I expect him to do. Hence, I said, leave it. I'll do it myself and get other people to do it.
General Sibiya is a lieutenant general. It's not an insignificant rank in the South African police. Surely he's capable of doing any job you tell him to do.
Correct, Honorable Chair, but he couldn't. So it was my understanding at that time. It was that maybe he doesn't know how to do it. I didn't have a benefit of what we all know now. So
General, you can't start out of it like that. I'm very sorry. You can't just say you didn't think that he couldn't, or you thought he couldn't do the job. How long have you known Sibiya? He occupies the second highest rank in the South African police force. And when he doesn't do what you tell him to do, you assume it's because he can't? It looks to me like he wouldn't.
Well, that time I thought he can't, Honorable Chair.
Sure, it was rough. Julius Malema was a bit more understanding, but still hammered the same point.
Were you reluctant to open a case against those who were involved in the issuing of illegal directives or instruction, including General Sibiya, who wrote a letter to disband PKTT, even when you said you shouldn't issue that letter? I will deal with the matter.
No, I wasn't reluctant. After we discovered what is being happening, I appended my signature, I appended my affidavit, and give it to the members to open a case, which is it's being open. It's an inquiry, but sure it will end up being a case.
No, but General Mkhwanazi says he came to you 3 times, and he only got the affidavit when he came for the 3rd time. He had to come himself to Pretoria and wait for you to write an affidavit. So why would he come to you 3 times if you're not reluctant to open a case?
No, I wasn't reluctant, Honorable Chair. I wrote the affidavit, and of course, if there are certain matters that they find that they are not included in the statement, they will ask me to say, what about this? Then I'll amend the affidavit and write it and give it. I was never hesitant, Honorable Chair.
I don't think it is correct to say the crime scene is in KZN. The crime scene is in Pretoria. The dockets are taken to Pretoria. The letters are being written in Pretoria. Some of these implicated people are in Pretoria. You wait for a general from KZN to come and ask for an affidavit from you instead of you registering or opening a case in Pretoria as a top cop, because these things are happening at the head office, not necessarily in KZN. KZN and General Mkhwanazi tells us that he only comes in when they started touching PKTT. So, meaning these people have been running wrong things there in the head office. And General, you don't open a case until General Mkhwanazi comes. What informs that?
Honorable Chair, the opening of the case, we only opened the case after we realized what is happening. Even he didn't open a case before because we didn't know what was happening. After we realized what is happening, then we wrote that's when I appended my affidavit, and we look as to where will this be, and we said, well, the team is in KZN, and we registered the case there in KZN. It didn't make a difference, but we said the scene is there where it happened. But yeah, that's how we arrived at it.
No, General, all of us agree that everything happened after you discovered there is a rot. There's something going on which is wrong. You should accept that you did not act in a responsible manner as a national commissioner after you discovered that there was something wrong. If General Mkhwanazi can open a case, you too had a duty to open a case. Actually, it was supposed to be you, not even General Mkhwanazi, because your deputy in Pretoria is the one who issues illegal instruction. Your minister in Pretoria is the one who issues illegal directives and to deal with the people of KZN. So the crime scene is in Pretoria. As a national commissioner, you ought to take responsibility that on hindsight, you now realize that you are actually the most responsible person who should have acted on these matters.
I agree, the responsible, but where the case was open, remember the directive was directed to PKTT, and the seat of PKTT is in KwaZulu-Natal. And, well, you can't open a case without affidavit. I'm the first one to pen my affidavit, and this is how we open a case, because you can't open a case without the affidavit. That affidavit of mine is the one that opened the case.
Now, what happens, what are the police protocols when your deputy is told by the most senior, then highest authority, don't do anything, don't write this letter. I will attend to this matter myself, leave it. And then you wake up the following day, this guy has written a letter. What did you do? Because Sibiya gets suspended after the press conference of Kwanazi and all of that, but you discover that this person, I told him, it can't be that you can give your subordinate an instruction and he that is extreme. To write a letter to disband PKTT and you don't take action against him until there is this noise on Sibiya. Only then we get to hear about special leave and all of that. But that is where after Sibiya defied you and wrote a letter against your wish.
I did say that. I did call him and say, leave the matter right at the beginning. He wrote letters, and later I learned that he's still doing this. Hence I told him, hey, I called him, don't interfere with this PKTT.
Chair, no. I hear you. But what are the protocols? I mean, everywhere else, what are the protocols? If you say to this guy, don't write a letter, especially on such a matter, and he writes a letter, the protocol is not, hey, don't do this. What course of action are you allowed to take, and why didn't you take that action against him?
Well, one of the actions I can take is to warn him, which I did at some point in April, May. I did call him and say, stop doing what you are doing.
Now, General, from where I'm sitting, and I don't have a doubt, unlike Honorable President, I agree that you opposed the dissolution of PKTT. And you did it in your own manner, because sitting there, I can see an agreeable person. So you are not going to come across as if you are General Mkwanazi or Malema or anything. You've got your way of communicating things. So that's your political principle. Whether they call it a boss or not, it's a political principle. It's overseeing your work and the work of the department and all of that. When he says dissolve PKTT and you are not agreeing, it can only be the way you are doing it. Okay, no, I hear you, why? And then the person is not budging on reasons. And then you say, well, let's take time, try to see how we go about it, because you're hoping something in between will happen. So you're buying time so that there could be a possible intervention. And amongst other things, in between, you went to the president and briefed him and all of that. Will I be correct to make that observation that right from the scratch, you were not in doubt that this thing must not be dissolved? But you can't speak to your minister as if you are speaking to your subordinate. You find a correct, within a measured ways to address that point.
Yeah, no, that's correct. Yes, I believe that it's not right, and I find a way to address him, for him to open up, to tell us why is he disbanding this team, and that door remained not open.
General Masemola has blamed civil society for being quiet, Parliament for not fighting for him, Minister Mchunu for pressurizing him, Sibiya for writing the letter to disband, and the South African citizens for being quiet about it. Because if this was about farm killings, every forum would have made a noise, but this was about the task team and nobody said anything. So he has blamed everybody. And of course, there's some merit to some of those things. But one of the things he blamed was Parliament. And Ian Cameron was not going to allow that to slide.
General, yesterday when you were speaking, you said that the Portfolio Committee should have read between the lines on the 5th of March meeting to realize the closure of the PKTT was irregular. What exactly did you mean by reading between the lines? Are you saying the committee was expected to interpret silence or omissions from SAPS as evidence of wrongdoing?
Well, what I was saying is that the team was being disbanded, and you did a good thing to invite us to come and tell you why is the team disbanded. We briefed the committee and also said committee is doing well, and General Mkwanazi expressed his side of the story on unhappiness about the committee being, the PKTT being disbanded, and yeah, that's where it ended.
But General, help me understand the rationale between expecting the committee to read between the lines, specifically that line, read between the lines. The reason I ask this, I want to understand, do you believe that Parliament should conduct its oversight by questioning whether presentations from SAPS or the ministry or for any other department for that matter reflects the full truth? Because if we read between the lines, you leave the interpretation open for us. So should parliamentary committees generally be expected to distrust official briefings and infer irregularities rather than being transparently informed?
The briefing that we did to the committee that day was, we showed the work of the team, how well the team is doing. And General Mchunu did express that also that this is what the team is doing. And he expressed his view on the closure of the team. And that was then the end of the meeting.
Sorry, General. I'm going to labor the point. So I want to get back to reading between the lines, because what I'm asking you is, are you then suggesting that Parliament's oversight role depends on suspicion rather than transparency? And the reason I say that is because if you say we had to read between the lines, it means we had to do some guessing work. And the thing is, General Mchunu wasn't part of the presentation. He was in the meeting, but General Khumalo did the presentation. And in that presentation, and the reason I'm saying this is because, and I'll get to the details now, but there's an impression that Parliament didn't act. And that was what was said at the Madlanga Commission as well. And I feel that we should set the record straight. And I'm going to get to more details now. The point is, there was no objection. So how were we meant to read between the lines about the unhappiness of the disbanding of the political killing task team?
I'm not referring specifically to anything, but what I recall, Honorable Chair and honorable members, is we briefed the committee on the work of the team, and we did indicate that according to us, the team is doing well, it should continue. And thereafter, General Mchunu came. He was part of our meeting, and he expressed also his side of the story in terms of the team. And I think then the minister did also allude that the team should be disbanded, and he agreed with the president, and that was the end. And the portfolio committee accepted, I would presume they accepted that, because there wasn't an objection by any of them.
Well, come back to it again, General. There was no objection from the police. There was no objection from you, General Khumalo, or General Mchunu. In fact, when General Mchunu spoke at the end, he didn't object to the closing of the political killing task team. General, earlier you told the Honourable Breitenbach that you had learned your lesson and that next time you would come to the Portfolio Committee on Police and openly say if the minister was interfering in your work, correct?
I did say that, and I do accept that, yes, one learn a lesson. In future, one will approach things differently. But in this specific meeting, yes, I think what I remember, General Mchunu explicitly did indicate his unhappiness on that.
So after saying about learning a lesson, General, what I want to say is that despite all of the concerns that we've heard since the 6th of July regarding the closing of the political killings task team, the concerns were raised by you after the 6th of July, General Mchunu, and I'm guessing to a certain extent General Khumalo, although I haven't seen any kind of official document. You never came to the police committee to disclose those concerns, did you?
No. I never came again, but in the meeting of the 5th of March, I remember General Mchunu, he did mention to it, he did allude to his unhappiness on the closure of the team. He did mention it.
You didn't tell Parliament that the minister was interfering, one, and no formal objection was placed on record. So there was no part of that entire 5th of March meeting. The impression that was created at the Madlanga Commission was that Parliament heard all these things and Parliament didn't act. That is explicitly, Major General Van Rooyen sitting behind you said Parliament failed and we wouldn't be sitting at the Madlanga Commission, meaning you, had Parliament acted. But I can tell you from the record, it wasn't said. It was explicitly not said. So in my opinion, and you could likely agree, the committee was kept in the dark. And Parliament cannot be blamed for decisions that were chosen not to disclose. Is that not correct?
I remember myself and Khumalo, we expressed that the team is doing well. Yes, I agree that we expressly maybe not say Minister is interfering, that we didn't say. But General Mchunu did explicitly say, well, let's just say we'll go and check the records. I remember him saying that he will open a case, whoever come there to disband the team. I might not remember the exact ways, but he did express that.
But General, you're answering for General Mchunu. I want to know, do you agree with me that Parliament cannot be blamed for something that wasn't officially recorded in that presentation? That's yes. There I will agree that it's not recorded in the presentation, yes. So, thank you, General. So I want to go back to the comment of reading between the lines. When Parliament considers the South African Police Service's annual report next week, should we again read between the lines? And I don't see this as sarcastic at all. I'm asking that, can I believe when that presentation is made? I also laughed when I wrote it, so we can smile about it, General. But when I wrote that, my question comes as to the past year since we've been communicating through the committee. Did we have to always read between the lines, or are we getting a straight up indication of realities? Because my question, if so, what does that say about the credibility of SAT reporting and the integrity of official performance information? Are you not conceding then that something is not completely reliable? I mean, if the presentation didn't say we received an unlawful or unconstitutional directive from the Minister of Police to close the political killing task team, and we object to that, Parliament, please help us resolve this. If it didn't say that, then I come back to how was I meant to read between the lines?
No, thanks, Honorable Chair. I agree and admit in the presentation we did not put it, Honorable Chair.
If you're still watching right now, go down and comment, read between the lines. This is the last piece I want to play you that still hammered on it, but I think it captured this issue absolutely well.
You testified then, now that you are now conceding that the testimony of General Mchunu was correct when he said that General Khumalo was the one who took the dockets. But you qualified that later on by saying it's because General Sibiya told him to do so. Did General Khumalo do the right thing?
Honorable Member, I think you were in the House. You heard it, I suppose, more than once, that General Sibiya ordered dockets from KZN to come to Pretoria. Well, that order have went through different people, which myself, I don't want to go through those layers. Those people will come here, they'll come and say, me, I was given this order by who to do what and what and what. So it is not the right thing for the dockets to be removed from KZN.
So General Khumalo did the wrong thing?
Well, he will come and explain himself through you, Honorable Chair.
According to you, as his superior, did General Khumalo do the right thing?
I told you that I learned later that he was ordered to do so. He did not do the right thing by not consulting the provincial commission. General Sibiya did not do the right thing by consulting the provincial commission.
That's fine. So you are basically saying both of them didn't do the right thing, including General Khumalo.
Yeah, they didn't do the right thing.
Should he not have refused that directive from General Sibiya
Well, that I'm sure he will answer for himself, but you would recall that, well, he was given directive. I don't know the rest of what entailed, what they're going to do with those docket. I'm sure he will be able to give evidence to that effect.
Is he following your example, Commissioner, for when the minister told you something unlawful, you also didn't refuse? Is your subordinates following the lead of the head of the agency?
I wouldn't say he's following my example. I'm sure you can ask him. He will answer for himself.
What do you think? It's very similar to what you are doing. Is that the reason why you are overlooking it? Because you are putting the blame squarely on who gave him the direction, but not holding him responsible for taking the action.
I think you are aware that I did take action against General Sibiya for doing what he's doing.
What action did you take against General Khumalo for doing what he did?
Well, I'm taking action against the one that started this whole thing.
And that's what I mean. Therefore, you are interpreting it in the same way when it comes to you. When the House questions you on why didn't you stand up against an unlawful instruction from the minister, you also want the country, rightfully so, to hold the one responsible for directing you. But that does not mean you are not responsible either for not standing your ground. And it's for that reason that you are now giving the same justification for General Khumalo.
Well, I'm taking action against the one that caused the whole thing. And I think it's the right thing I'm doing.
And everyone that is attached to it, he had a duty to refuse an unlawful instruction. He had a duty to do that. He did not. And therefore you should hold him responsible too. I agree with you. Deal decisively with General Sibiya, but deal decisively with General Khumalo as well, because it will look like you are just overlooking it because it's General Khumalo.
Sure, that was powerful. That's what accountability is about. My biblical reaction. But he who did not know, yet committed things deserving of stripes, shall be beaten with few stripes. For everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required. And to whom much has been committed, of him they will ask the more. The greatest damage that the ANC did to South Africa is to insist and force and fight for the country to drop their standards. So what happens is we have parliamentarians, that's our A team, who go and then we want to say, oh, but there's a history of apartheid. Yes, there is, but this is the A team. They've taught us to drop our standards. The average voter who has never stolen a chocolate in their life will vote for politicians who, listen, when we're being honest, we know they've stolen millions. You've never stolen a chocolate. Why would you vote for someone who's stolen millions? I expect every soccer player in the team I support to play 10 times better than me. I expect my favorite artist to sing better than me. I expect my favorite comedian to be 10 times funnier than me. Standards, people. To whom much is given, from him much will be required. I've seen many people in my first video when I showed how Masemola was spineless. I was not comparing him to me. I'm not saying I would have done better. I'm not comparing him to you. I'm not saying you would have done better. But I've also not given you my safety. I've also not given you a license to kill. I've also not given you a huge salary. I've also not given you unlimited authority as a policeman because you are the number one policeman. And for me, a policeman who makes a mistake around lawfulness has got to go. Standards, people. Standards. If South Africans can start having standards for their leaders, stop shaming your leader as if this is you or your friend, or and you like feel it personal, like, I wouldn't want to be judged like that. Yeah, you wouldn't. That's why we don't want you to be president. That's why we don't want you to be a minister. That's why we don't want you in our parliament. No, he doesn't speak well, but you must remember our history. Because you taking it personally, then you drop standards. I don't want a single policeman, police leader that ever makes a mistake around the law. If General Masemola tomorrow was made Minister of Social Services, go for it. Why? Because he's nice. I hope my social services minister is nice, not top cop. If I'm going to have a top cop, it better be Mkhwanazi. If I see Mkhwanazi in a mall and I see him, I will have a groupie moment. I'll probably run up to him. I'll probably ask to take a selfie. But if Mkhwanazi knocks at my door, I will wet my pants. And that's how it's supposed to be. Because I kind of think I wouldn't be able to negotiate with this hard-headed Zulu man. And that's who I want as my top cop. So, to whom much is given, much is required. And to whom much has been committed, of him they will ask the more. South Africa, you have no standards. You give people much and then you ask them little. People are given much and then you require little. I think the grilling that Masemola went through is perfect. Why? Because much has been given to him. And so it's not compassion when you go, oh, shame, they grilled him too much. Because you'll be crying again when your grandmother dies at Tembisa Hospital, when your cousin gets shot in the street, when somebody gets kidnapped, when Babita Deokaran dies, and it's for real. She's dead for doing her job. She's dead. Her family is really mourning. While we go, no, they grilled him. 70 people will die today. What's he doing? He's blaming Parliament. He's blaming you and I. Do you have a police badge? Because I don't have a police badge. I'm not responsible for stopping Mchunu from telling him to do something illegal. No, we require more. It sounds harsh, but this is how you move a country to prosperity. So somebody tell somebody to tell somebody, please raise your standards and don't allow politicians to cause you to pull your standards down. And you start making excuses for crime. You start making excuses for incompetence. The results are real. Your cousin doesn't have a job. And you're going to blame white people. You're going to blame apartheid. You're going to blame all sorts of things. No, it's because you have no standards. You vote for people who are worse than you. That's tight, but it's right. That's why I always say, no man can serve two masters. Either he'll love the one or hate the other, or he'll despise the one and honor the other. You cannot serve God and Karl Marx. Ooh, this was sore, but I'm not crying. Let's make history together. Cheers.